many of the questions that we all have, the burning issues that we're experiencing in practice. So hopefully this will give you the answers that you so desperately want and need. We're just busy getting the representatives, the panel from the UIF online. So if you would just bear with us for another minute or two, we'll start with the presentation shortly. We apologize for the delay. Good morning. Yes, we can hear you. Thank you. You're welcome to continue when you are ready. I'd just like to also, on behalf of the tax faculty, say thank you very much to the UIF for reaching out to us and for offering to talk to us this morning. We really value your input, and the answers to these questions will really help us in practice. So thank you very much for your time. We are looking forward to this session. Over to you.
Yeah. Hi, can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me?
Continue. Sound is great.
Oh, you can hear me. Just confirm if you can hear me.
Yes,
you can.
We can hear you, and you are live. So you're welcome to start when you are ready. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Morning. Thank you for providing us this opportunity. Hopefully, this will be the start of more engagement from the UIF with our stakeholders to try and make sure that we improve in relations to informing and educating our stakeholders with issues around the UIF. Just to give you the background in relations to TERS, Section 8 of the National Disaster Regulations 10 empowers the Minister of Labour as required, and he may issue and vary directions within his mandate to address and prevent and combat the spread of COVID-19 from time to time, including providing information required in ways or steps that the department can improve in handling the pandemic. Secondly, implementing the emergency procedures for the department, trying to improve our systems in order to be able to be efficient in terms of responding.
Easy. He will continue where he left. Where did he? Where did he?
Just doing the background.
Okay, it's on the background.
Yeah.
He will just go back to the previous paragraph. From there, he will take you through, and then he will start with the questions.
Hi.
No, there's a problem with this.
Can you hear us?
Everything is fine on our side, so you're welcome to continue when you are ready.
Yes. Oh, sorry about that. The system keeps locking us out, so I'm not sure what the challenge is. Maybe it's just the technology side from our side. But generally, in background is that the Unemployment Insurance Fund came up with mechanisms in terms of putting up steps for us to make sure that we combat and make sure that the pandemic, our beneficiaries are not affected. And in that way is by making sure that we improve our systems, and the COVID-19 TERS benefit is one of the systems that we came up with in order to make sure that our beneficiaries get the assistance and be able to claim for the UIF, for the benefit itself. Hello?
Karen?
Karen, can you still hear us?
Karen? I think we'll do
it over the phone. So you all continue with the plan on our side.
I think that's the best thing. We can't hear you, and I believe you can't hear us.
No, we can hear you. You are live.
Oh, you can hear us?
Yes, so you're welcome to continue.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So generally, just that's the background that we've had, né? So we've noticed that some of the employers and some of our employees have been having challenges in terms of getting the information when they apply, having challenges with the steps that they follow, and also just the turnaround time and also responses from our side when they have issues in relation to some of the benefits that they apply. So now I'll try to provide you guys with a step-by-step process of how to apply on the COVID-19. But just to pause on that, Karen, I would like to introduce the team that will be assisting us in today's webinar. We have Tsumbezo from the stakeholder relations team. I think that's the colleague that you've been dealing with. And just to do introductions.
Good morning. My name is Moses Majoni. I'm from Operations.
And we also have Mr. Viwe Koli from ICT and Mr. Lebogang Muluko from Events and Management. So in this time, Karen, what we will do, we will pause from the background that we're giving you so that we can give Mr. Majoni an allowance to address you. As soon as he's done, we will continue with the rest of the questions. So do you have questions that you need Mr. Majoni to respond? We'll start with the questions now. Crystal?
Right. Thank you very much to the team. We really appreciate you all getting the panel being there to answer our questions. I don't.
Karen?
Yes.
Let's pack the filing questions for now. For now, we are only dealing with the test questions and the system-related questions.
That will be great. Thank you. That's our most urgent need at this stage.
Yes, thank you very much. You can start with the majority and Mr. Tony.
Hello.
Hello. What with the question?
No, you fine.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you now. We want
Okay, perfect. The questions.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Can we start firstly with a general question, maybe? And the general question that we have is, if an employer now wants to become compliant and catch up on payments that should have been made to the UIF, can that still be done at this stage? And if so, what would be the consequences? So, for example, what would be the penalty and how would it be calculated? And would TERS then be claimable in that instance if an employer catches up and then becomes compliant? Is that a possibility for us at this stage?
Yeah, maybe from our side, I think that it's more on compliance business. Yeah, the question. Now we're not dealing with the compliance issues, we are dealing with the applications. What is important for now is to have employees declared on the system. And also that after the process of applications, compliance unit will calculate the penalties and contributions that are liable to be paid by the employer.
So in summary, the most important thing now is declarations. So if all your employees are declared, or if they are not declared, you can go to U-Filing and declare them. then you will qualify for the benefit.
So I'd just like to confirm the sound isn't very clear. If I could just ask the panel to speak louder if possible. If the employer now becomes compliant, would TERS be claimable?
Yes. There are
Okay,
two
great stuff.
compliance that we're referring to contribution and declarations. But what is important now is declaring your employees. So even if the contributions are behind, but if you can able to declare your employees, then you'll be able to apply for this.
Okay, that's great news, because I think many employers would be in that position, and that definitely provides relief in this time. Okay, great. That's a great answer that we like. Thank you for that. The next general issue is on foreigners. So we'd like to know this reassessment that will be done. Will it be done automatically? By when will it be done? What can we expect around foreign nationals?
Okay. That part, for now, already the revamp started. We're verifying with UIF. So as my colleague highlighted, it's important that you go and declare your employees, especially foreigners, on UIF. So already we are doing on a daily basis rerun to check the matching of declarations. So one of the biggest gap is that employees are not declared with the fund. So that's why the payment delay is there.
Okay, and I think that touches on another issue whereby many employers thought they were being compliant by just through the SARS e-filing system, declaring the UIF and making payment, but now they realize that that's actually not the case. So what is the process then to get them to compliance status from a UIF perspective? Do they need to also register on e-filing, or what is required of them?
Yeah, but there are two means. There's the manual one where you send emails with your declaration information through declarations at labor.co.za, and also there's an automated way where you go to UIF system, register, they create a profile, and then on the monthly basis you then declare your employee.
All right. So then, from a tax perspective, it doesn't help that we just do that on the SARS system. We also need to do that on the U-filing system. Am I correct? And do those declarations. It's not done and pulled through automatically from the SARS system.
Yeah, remember, there are two acts. The Underpayment Administration Act that says you must declare to UIF on a monthly basis. Whatever you do at SARS,
Yes.
through the Contribution Act, but UIF still says all employers before the 7th day of the month must send us the declarations, whether automated or manually sending an email, or go to the labor center, produce a UIF-19, a document called UIF-19, with the information about the employees, their salary, their start dates, and the termination date. So it's true, you need to also do it through UIF.
Okay, perfect. I think that also addresses many questions that many people have, that we didn't know how to resolve this issue. Thank you very much for that. Can we now move over to the process issues? So from a process perspective, we have quite a couple of questions, and let me read them one by one. The first one says, with regards to the bargaining council, they cannot get onto the system to request a password resend. It gives the message that the profile has already been accessed. What email address can be used to request reset of password?
In that case, there's two forms before I give you the email address. Remember, the employer sometimes goes first to register the profile. When the bargaining council comes and apply, already the profile has been registered by the employer. So I'm still coming to the question to the password, to whom we can call the call center, UIF call center, which they can reset the password for on the system.
So they can do that on the UIF website, on UFiling, or where do they go to
Yes.
do a reset of password?
Can I ask a question before I continue? I'm talking about code or UFiling, because those are two separate things.
Okay, I think what we should maybe do, ladies and gentlemen, is that the sound is not very clear. So I think let us just figure out a different way of getting the sound better through to everyone. So let's just take a minute or two break. I apologize for this. And let's just address the sound issue and get that sorted out. And then we'll continue with the process issues. All right, just please give us a minute or two. I apologize for this.
What is the code? Will you be able to-
Line. I've got the UIF on the line, so I'd just like to touch on the previous question that we raised, and that is related to resetting of passwords. So how do we go about, who do we send an email to, what's the process to reset the password?
Hello, ma'am. The process, you need to call our UIF call center.
Right, so it has to go through the call center.
Yes.
Okay, and that's...
So you need to acknowledge that we're experiencing problem with the sending of emails, because there is a process in the system to reset your password, but there is a lot of delays with emails resending the temporary password. So for now, to address the challenge, we have a functionality for our call center agents to give you the temporary password.
Okay. The only struggle that we have with that is that we're struggling to get through to the call center. So that's the only way that we can pursue resetting of password at this stage?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we are addressing the challenge of the technical team. We are looking at the issue of the delays of emails.
Okay.
For now, I think the option that we have is the call center.
Okay. All right. All right. Then the second question that we have on process issues, it says that this client has two UIF numbers. So which one do you now use? TERS picks up one from pay-as-you-earn references, but the business is registered on UFiling with a different UIF number. So how do you resolve that problem?
Yeah. Hi, Karen.
Hi.
When that at SARS, they have another reference number, with UIF, they have another reference number.
Yes.
So you must bear into consideration that when an employer registers with SARS, they are given a pay-as-you-earn number.
Right.
And that pay-as-you-earn number that they make contribution to SARS, it must be linked with their UIF reference number when they register with UIF. meaning that the employer, they were not supposed to say the two reference number. One is for UIF and one is for pay-as-you-earn number, because there is only one UIF reference number that you get from UIF. So what might be, what I see as the problem there is that the employer registered with TERS, then obtain the pay-as-you-earn number, and they register with UIF without the pay-as-you-earn number. So in this case, Karen, take the correct details for that particular client, send them directly to me.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Are you happy to share your email address in that way?
Karen, I'm willing for Rasta Golda will be the one dealing with the inquiry.
Oh, thank you so much. I will definitely share that email address with everyone. Thank you. That's very valuable. All right. The next two questions I think we've addressed, and that is on the EMP 201. You've basically declared your UIF, but you haven't been compliant in the sense that you've registered on U-filing. So we've actually addressed that question, and that is that you need to get those declarations on U-filing. You need to get them filed to be compliant.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Then question number 5, we submit the monthly declarations to the UIF via Sage Payroll, and many clients then receive the TERS payout from the UIF except for one, but everything seems to be up to date. He received an email from the UIF where he was informed that we need to do declarations on U-filing. So that's, I think, a similar issue. Does it pull through the Sage system as well, or do you still need to do the declarations on U-filing?
No, I think mostly it could have been just one person who was not appearing. It could have been that person was a foreigner.
Right.
Oh, yes, there was a problem with one ID. So maybe I can ask the client just to check whether that payroll had a foreigner on it, because the foreigners are only declared through U-filing, not through payroll. So even if you're an employer sending us payroll every month, if there's foreigner employees in there, it doesn't come through directly automatically to our system. So we usually have to capture it on U-filing. So maybe the client can just check whether there was an issue with the ID, or if that one that did not come through was a foreigner. That's why maybe advice was let them go to declare that person on U-filing.
I see. Okay, that makes sense then. Perfect. Again, the declarations on U-filing, I think, would be extremely important.
Correct.
All right. Moving over to question number 6. Question number 6 is basically an error that was given as UIF reference number is not correct. How do I then load the employees onto U-filing? They have been compliant, they've been paying UIF for years, but it seems like the system is rejecting them because of this error of the UIF reference number not being correct. How do we resolve that issue?
Like Sumbedo explained, remember when you register with SARS, you get your pay-as-you-earn number. That number gets linked to UIF, user reference number. So it would be difficult for me to say what could be the what is wrong in that UIF reference number unless they give it to us. We check on the system. Because sometimes we find the employer is not registered with us. True, they've been paying SARS, but they don't have a UIF reference number. So we need to get hold of that UIF reference number and check what could be the issue.
And how can we get hold of UIF reference numbers, and how can we check that? Do we do that online?
Yes, on our portal we have a functionality that says punch in your pay-as-you-earn number, then it will then check on our database, then it will give you your UIF reference number.
Okay, that's great. Okay, that's definitely valuable to know of.
To also add, as my colleague highlighted, it's not 100% you get your UIF reference number. If you have never registered with us, it will not pull the UIF reference number. In that case, you follow another process of registration, which is different.
Yes.
So it's not always the case that you enter your pay-as-you number, it gives a record, because if there's no record with us, it won't pull any record. So in that case, the employer needs to register for UIF.
Okay, that makes sense. So it will only give you that reference number if you've registered in actual fact and there's a profile for you. That makes sense. Okay, perfect. Question number 8, number 7 we've addressed. Question number 8, one of my clients transferred his staff from one company to another company on the 1st of March. So do we now claim TERS on the old company or the new company? Does it matter in actual fact whether you claim it through the old or the new company?
Yeah, remember when we talk about declaration, an employer is the one that tells us that Company X has these 10 employees. We don't know from UIF. So you have a reference number, you register your employees under that reference number, you declare them under that reference number. Right. So what's important to us is UIF reference number X, ID number 1. If we can't find that ID under that reference number, then it means you are not registered under that reference number. So it's a duty of an employer when there are changes on their employment situation, they must then come and say, now this guy belongs to this reference number, we will declare him under this reference number. Because as UIF, we don't know. As long as we don't receive declarations, we won't know what changes are happening from your side. Even if you're going to SARS, you're going to pay for employees, that pay as you earn, those employees that you have, if there are changes, you need to update at SARS, the same as UIF.
Okay, all right,
yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. All right, question number 9 says, when I try add a company on U-filing, it says company not found. So what suggestions do you have for this issue?
Maybe we requested that you not mix up U-filing and COVID.
Okay.
There's another team that is such an expert in U-filing.
Okay.
That's how we invite the colleagues from U-filing that will be able to address the U-filing challenges.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Then we can skip those questions and we'll schedule a different session for U-filing. Okay, I'm happy with that. All right. So there seems to be many issues related to U-filing. So then I'm just going to skip through those questions. While I skip through these questions, I'd just like to ask you, when would submissions and applications for April TERS benefits close? Is there a deadline yet, or can we still submit? Okay, that's great news. And when will May open? Is it open yet?
Not
okay.
Want to concentrate when we go to May, at least we have majority of the stuff resolved.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. As long as we know that window is still open and we can still apply for April. Okay, that's great news. Just also on that, the reassessment for foreigners, is that happening already? Will that still be happening? And what is the process around that?
Okay, sure. I think initially viewer did answer. I think since Monday we have already started assessing foreigners.
Okay.
So we are using U-filing database. Like I said, you are able to declare your foreigners on U-filing. So we take that database. If we can match that passport number against what's sitting on the TERS application, then we are paying. So from Monday, we have already started paying foreigners.
Okay.
Why we are asking employers to go to U-filing. If there are outstanding declarations for foreigners, go to U-filing and declare them.
Okay, all right. That's great news. All right. So moving over to the next section, which is errors in submission. We just have a couple of questions here that I believe you can help us with. The question related to a declaration that needs to be signed by employees. Now, if the employer can't contact the employees, they're still at home, for example, how do you get that declaration from them? Can you submit that on behalf of the employee? Because sometimes it's not practical to get hold of the employees and ask them to sign that and submit that.
And you mentioned declaration, isn't it?
Yes.
Declarations, which is UI 19 ought to the employee. That is the duty, of the employer. The employer, we encourage the employer that the employer must not give their employees a UI 19 form or a declaration form. The employer must send that form to us either by payroll, by you-filing, and by email, as Mr. Majoni has indicated. No UI 19 is supposed to be given to any employee.
Yes, I think the question here relates to the system where you employ less than 10 employees. The online system is slightly different, and the way I understand it, it sometimes asks for a declaration or confirmation by the employee. Or is that not the case?
No, not the COVID system, no.
Not the COVID.
Whether you have 10 employees or 100, the process is the same. You only have a true option of uploading the details of employees, whether you use a CSV file or you manually capture them. But there's no part on the system that says an employee must declare anything.
Okay, now talking about that, let's assume I've got a domestic worker, for example, and I pay the domestic worker in cash. And I now need to provide proof or be able to prove that this TERS benefit has been paid to her and that I've been paying her salary for the last 3 months. How can I prove this if I've been paying her in cash? Is that still a requirement? And how can I then ensure that I comply?
Yeah. Maybe I think we're mixing two things up. Maybe. Let's first agree, you're saying declarations. Now you are talking about the method of once you have been paid to provide evidence that you have paid that particular employee.
Yeah, no.
If it's on declarations, ma'am, remember in declarations there's no signing of documentation by the employer with the employee as evidence. You go in as you filing, even for domestic workers. You go into you filing, you declare, I have this particular employee as a domestic worker, viewer. Viewer is working for these hours. Viewer earns this amount. Then you declare them on a monthly. So there's no evidence that you need to show that I'm paying them cash, I sign. There's no attachment that is required when you declare.
Yes. That's Karen, you were referring to after TERS payment came through. There is that agreement that says we need a proof that you are paying, the money went to the employee. And you are saying you paid the person on cash, on hand. You did not use any electronic systems. So how are you going to prove to us that you paid the employee?
Yes, that's exactly the problem because, I mean, many employees might not have bank accounts, for example. So how do I prove then that I've paid this TERS benefit to my employee?
Yeah, in that case, ma'am, I think maybe let's move on for us, for even the other colleagues, the stakeholders to go on the same page. That is not issue of declaration. There's issue of payment evidence. So in cases of payment evidence, remember you have employee where you provide a bank statement saying I have paid this amount as agreed upon TERS.
Yes.
Then you have another evidence for those who pay them cash. We'll expect the employee to acknowledge that they have received the amount by signing the document saying, if we paid you 4,000 for that particular employee, the employee signed, I have received 4,000 because you find out other employers, especially domestic, for 35 days that payment, they will get more than they currently earn.
Yes.
You find out they were earning 2,500. Yes. With COVID, they will get 4,027 right. Yes. So in that case, some of the employers will split the amount and hold the other amount. So in that case, want them to sign off saying we did receive 4,027.
Right.
Then you provide us the evidence. In cases where you have electronic payments, a bank statement will be sufficient.
Okay. All right. So that's great news. If we can't provide that evidence via bank statement, then a declaration or confirmation by the employee of receipt would be sufficient and that would suffice.
Yes, that will suffice.
Okay. That's great news. Thank you for that. All right. Let's see what else. This is a common issue that comes up. I've done something wrong in my submission, right? So I've applied for TERS and I've made a mistake somewhere, right? So how do I correct that now? Because I realized that I've made a mistake. How can I correct that? Does the system allow for it? And what is the process to be followed?
Yeah, I think correction depends on stages.
Right.
If you submit something and then it gets processed, some payments get made or process get made, it's difficult to make changes on that. But if it's in the initial stage where no payments were made, processing is not done, you inform UIF and say, I realized that I captured the wrong bank account or I captured wrong email address. We have a process of deleting and allowing the employers to recapture. But if the process of payment has gone through, we must allow the whole process to go through complete. Then we'll then follow a different process after that. Because we don't want situation where employers get paid, ask us to delete bank accounts or profiles so that they can apply again. We have duplicate of payments or fraud happening. So it depends on the stage at which the employer is. Then they can send us an email and say, please check for me. I've applied, but I realize I've made a mistake. What stage is my application so that it can be corrected?
Okay, that makes sense. So I do understand that there's also controls from your side and you can't just allow changes to be made. I understand that. What email address can we use if we want to report these changes and bring that to the attention of the UIF?
I think now, since the other emails, maybe before we finalize the seminar, we'll provide you with relevant, because it depends which scenario you have. For example, if declaration, there's particular email address relevant to declaration. So we'll give Tumbezo highlighting this for this scenario. Please refer your inquiries to this email address for this particular challenge. Refer them to this email address, because there's various email addresses.
Okay, yes, please. That would be great. That would be very valuable, because we're sitting with many people that have made mistakes and would like to correct that, because they want to be compliant. So if we just know where to send that information, that will really help us a lot. Okay, something else that has also come up is that someone has applied for a benefit and for example, they've managed to open up earlier than expected and commence operations again. So the TERS benefit is now excessive. It was based on what they initially thought the shutdown would mean for the company. But now, obviously, they've gone back to production and earning income, and they're operating as per normal. So the TERS benefit that they've received is actually excessive, and they'd like to pay that back, the balancing portion. Can they do that, and how should they do that?
Yeah, maybe if I can come in on that one, we'll be publishing the bank accounts of the fund where you will return the funds. Okay. In case maybe there's an error, because we cannot say we'll be perfect with our calculations. In case there's an error, there's an overpayment, or your specific scenario, employees return earlier than the expected time frames that you claim for.
Yes.
We'll be publishing banking details on the system, because already there's an account, but some people felt that they're not comfortable being given by agents. So on the portal, we'll have it under documents, banking details, where and how do you compile maybe your UIF reference number as a reference that you are paid this amount.
Okay, that's great, because I do think, many people would be in that position and they don't want to sit with the benefit, whereas other people might need it. So they actually want to give that back to the UIF for redistribution. So I think that's an important process. Okay, so we'll definitely wait for that information to come through. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, let's, I think, move over to the actual benefit calculation issues that we're experiencing. Can you assist us with those?
No, with that one. But what specifically is the calculation issue?
So we've got various questions that have come through related to the actual calculation. I don't know whether you can see it on the screen in front of you, but we've got various issues related to calculations. I don't know whether this panel would be able to assist and whether we should send this through to you or the right person to then address.
For us, it's merely what calculation issues. If we can see that we can't able to answer, but we need to have a basis as to what is the calculation issue they are referring to. Whether there was an underpayment or whether they feel it's overpayment, we need to at least browse one and see.
Okay.
Now this one they are unable to answer. We'll refer to our technical people.
Okay, so one of the issues, just to give you an example, is there's a query that has come through to say that some employees were declined, but it seems like they're being compliant from a U-filing profile perspective, declarations are up to date, etc. So what is the process to almost object against the rejection of these claims? Is there a process, or how should we go about bringing that to the attention of the UIF that we believe that these payments should still be made?
Okay, maybe if I can come into that, ma'am. Remember, to give you just a scenario of how we do calculations. Remember, if you only have done your filing after we have calculated, declarations won't be there.
Yes.
Case is number 2. You have been declaring an employee with a different UIF reference number. With the claim, you come and claim with another different UIF reference number. The declarations won't be there for that particular employee.
Yes.
Number 3, foreigners, as my colleague highlighted, declarations are not there for foreign nationals. That's why we do another process specific for foreign nationals. Due to the change of password, we have U-filing. So that's his declaration. Number 4, if a company, for example, registered after the 15th of March with UIF for the first time, that one is an automatic rejection, because now we're avoiding people frauding the department, because they know as part of the COVID, we have to be registered, but they have not been contributing. So we have different scenarios. Another calculation, what I can give you in a high level, we don't want, it's too technical to go into nitty-gritties. We are paying at a sliding scale, 38% to 60%.
Yes.
For example, for April, the maximum that we paid 7,700. That's the maximum that we can. Then from April, because we're paying for 35 days, for April we're paying about 6,600.
Right.
That would be for May. Sorry, that would be the maximum amount paid. The calculations involve various stages, and it's too technical, because if you are making your own calculation, you'll be coming out with your own outcome. So I think the calculation, it's quite technical. Even ourselves sometimes needs high-level people who understand, who have been here for a long time. So I think from employers should not make calculation from themselves. UIF makes the calculation, which is informed by sliding scale, minimum wage, and employment date, and the monthly salary that you provided. So those are the things. Because if we show you exactly how it's done, people start manipulating it, because we're avoiding also fraudulent activities. Because if you know, for me to get this amount, I must enter 1, 2, 3, then we will be opening a can of worms of fraud.
Yeah, that makes sense. I do understand that you need to have control over the process, and that you need to have checks and balances in place to demotivate or to avoid fraudulent activities. So I understand that completely. Just 2 questions on that from your reply. Thank you very much for that. I'd just like to confirm, employers that now register after the 15th of March, they won't qualify for TERS.
That's correct, ma'am.
Okay. So that's
anyone that registered for you for the company with UIF after the 15th of March is a rejection.
Okay. All right. So that's then a definite rule that we now know about. And then the second question that I have on that is, can we query the reason for a rejection? Is there a process in place where we can find out what the reason for a rejection is? Because then at least we might be able to correct that, and that might lead to a TERS benefit being paid out. Or is it just a a clear rejection and that's the end of it? Will we be able to get to a reason for the rejection?
Yes, on the portal itself currently, the employers, after we made a calculations, they are able to log in, they go to that payment breakdown report. It's got 2 reports that come out there. There's the one that shows what was approved. The other one shows a list of those that were declined. In that declined report, it's got an error message on each and every ID. It will say it was rejected due to declarations, due to invalid ID, due to ID not found, due to active claims. It's blank, but it's on that part. That's when the employer can say, UIF, I've got a rejection ID on the rejected report, but there's no error message. Then we can able to tell them that no, the error message is 1, 2, 3. And then if it's declarations, issues like that, or IDs were typed wrongly, the employer can go and fix that, reload the CSV or type in the employee's details again, then click proceed again, then it will be calculated again. So there is that information already on the portal for employees for employers to check what is the rejection reasons. Yeah.
Okay, that's great news.
And Karen, if let's say it was rejected because of the outstanding declaration or the one declaration, the email address that you can use for those outstanding declaration, it is COVID-19 declarations at labor.gov.za.
Okay, great.
Right. And the other email address, this is when you only send this one for electronic payroll files to upload on our system. It is the normal one, UIF declarations at labor.gov.za. But the first one for COVID related UIF COVID-19 declarations at labor.gov.za. For foreign nationals who don't have an email address, we send is U-filing. So they go to U-filing and declare them on U-filing foreign nationals. Those are some of the email address and the website that they can use if they want to send declarations to us.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for that. That's definitely very valuable. I've made a note of that, and I'll also distribute that after the session. Thank you.
Send those email addresses to your email as soon as we're done.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks very much for that. Just a follow-up question on the same topic. If we, for example, submit a TERS claim for 35 days for all of our employees, but many of them are then paid for 35 days, the benefit, but some of them only for 14 days of benefit. Why would that be? Can we establish a reason for that, and can we query that? Because it was part of the same application.
Yeah, I think the 14 days issue, it would mean the applications were done in the very early stage. Remember when we started with the TERS, we had the first date where the president had said from the 27th to the 16th, that was a lockdown.
Yes.
And then the employer went and applied for that only 14 days. Then we had the second date, it was from the 16th to the 30th.
Yes.
So, yeah, that the president said, no, we're extending the lockdown period. Right. Then on the system, we had 2 dates where employers went and chose, depending on when the employer came and applied. There were 2 changes that happened because while we were still busy finalizing our calculation and stuff, there were changes. Right. So on the system, the employer could choose two dates, either the second 16th to the 30th or the 27th to the 16th. So because of that, some employers went and chose the second part, which was the 16th to the 30th. So it calculated only 14 days.
I see.
Then, yeah, so our initial calculations went and paid for 14 days. But that, since in the mid of April, we've been correcting that. So we are rerunning all the employers that we paid underpaid, that we paid 14 days. Then we are then correcting that, and some are already paid their money, they received the balances. Some are on the runs that are going on every day. So we call those underpayments that we did. So there are some employers that will tell you they are already paid the difference. There are others that are still outstanding that are going to be paid as we run our batches every day.
Okay.
And also add, sometimes another difference scenario, the employer did select the shutdown from this date until that date. So we don't automatically pay for the 35 days for the people. Because we have an option to say the shutdown the employer says maybe the shutdown is on the 5th of April to the 20th. So in that particular scenario, we only pay for those number of days that the employer selected. So there's different scenarios. So each case is unique.
Yes, yes, I hear what you're saying. Yes.
By the number of days. So what is important is the employers not to rush, if I can advise them, not to rush to populate the information, because this is the information that is utilized for calculations.
Okay, so we will assume then that these will be reassessed. We don't need to notify the UIF, and we don't need to reapply. We can just leave it as is and then wait for this additional payment to be made. If that is what is applied for by the employer, if that application was right.
That's 100%. Okay. But if you put in other dates, there won't be miracles.
Okay.
Don't change to 35 days.
Okay. All right. And another question, while we're talking about April versus May submission, we do need to reapply for May. Am I correct? And will that involve a whole new application process right from scratch, similar to what we saw for April?
Yeah, the reason for that is because remember now the president has changed the levels. Remember that time when we were in level 5, some companies it was a complete lockdown. Now we're in level 4. Some employers are opening their businesses partially. Employees will go back to. So now we have a completely different situation to level 5. Yes. So it means we can't automatically go and say we're gonna pay everybody that we paid. No need for resubmission, because now changes have happened. Employers will say 10 of my employees are gonna come back. They're gonna only work maybe 5 days or 10 days. So it means the employer must then tell us, for me, I'm only going to apply for 20 employees, and then they're only going to work this much. That's why we need a completely new application again.
Okay.
It would be nice if there were no such changes. Maybe we're still in the same level 5, 85 days, 30 days for everyone. We were just going to repay everybody who applied. But there are now changes where other companies that were not were locked in are now open, so they can go back. Only some few employees won't work, some will work. So we need the employer to tell us those changes.
Okay.
Maybe to add that it's not totally a new application. Remember, the profile will be there already.
Yes.
So it's only the submission of employees.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
It comes in because already your banking details, your proof of bank confirmation letter or latest bank statement will be there. We already have it. So it's just the application of the employees that will differ.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. And I think that will be a quick application process, and only for those companies that are still impacted by lockdown, and to the extent that they are impacted by lockdown, they will need to apply. All right, yeah, that makes absolute sense. Thank you very much for that. I'd just like to see, I see we still have a couple of minutes left, whether I can still push through a couple of questions. Let's just see what else we have. So there's various error codes related to the TERS benefit. Would you be able to assist with that? Or would you?
Yes.
Okay, so there's an error code that someone has reported, employee not declared by the employer on the declined payment report. And apparently declarations were then sent through. Will it now be reassessed and reconsidered automatically once these declarations have been sent through? Can we just leave things as is and assume that this will now be addressed and taken care of?
Yes, I think we have dealt it with a lot of time. I think if I can recap, is that all those declarations, those who have now declared, those will be reassessed again.
Okay.
Like, for example, maybe there's 2 scenarios. We are reassessing like those scenarios of SARS employers. We are getting confirmation of SARS contributions. Then we automatically release their money for those that have been verified with SARS.
Right.
So we need to look at declaration. But I would advise them to go and declare. Because if you don't declare, the same scenario will happen for me. Because if you have declared now, for me, you will have a quicker turnaround time of your claim because you will have declarations. You won't have the same error. But if it does follow the process of SARS, we need to go back to SARS again to confirm again.
Okay, perfect. That makes sense. And then just a last issue. If a claim was approved, but payment not yet received, what can we do to follow up on that? Should we just, how long should we give it for the payment to reflect in our bank balances? And how should we follow up if it doesn't?
Yeah, call center, you can follow up with call center. Okay. But now there's another scenario. Declaration, you can say the claim is in process. But you found out another scenario. The branch code, where we have challenges.
Yeah.
The branch code is not correct. We are only using the universal branch code for payments.
Yeah.
So the employer must ensure that they capture the branch code.
Right.
And now, in that scenario, you find that declarations are there, everything is fine, but payment cannot be paid because of the one. It went, we sent it for payment.
Yes.
But it was rejected due to branch code or incorrect banking details.
Right.
So those ones will be in contact with the employer saying, kindly correct your branch code. Then automatically we are developing a function that automatically goes and check on a daily basis those branch code that have been corrected and release them.
Okay. All right. So we can then just wait to hear from you and then follow the process suggested by the UIF.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it means the employer, if they realize 7 days, 8 days, nothing has happened, they need to call UIF and say, I've seen my application is saying approved, but there's no money in yet. What could be the issue? Then we'll check through the reference number.
Okay, perfect. So we'll also follow that up through the call center then. All right. I'd just like to, I think we should stop here. Unfortunately, our time is up. It has really been tremendously helpful to get answers directly from the UIF to these burning questions that we have and to the issues that we're experiencing in practice. I will hopefully be able to set up another session with you that we can also carry this forward into a new session, the other questions that we still have. And I'll share that information with everyone as soon as it's available. But just on behalf of the tax faculty, I'd like to thank the UIF, the panel that took time out of their busy schedules to help us this morning. We really do appreciate that tremendously. And we know that you are working under tremendous pressure to try and sort out these issues. And we really do appreciate that. So thanks very much for the time that you've set aside to talk to us this morning. And we'll hopefully be able to set up another session next week then on the outstanding questions.
Okay, thanks, Karen. Yeah, the people must take into consideration that we will make an announcement for any changes. Like when we will be receiving the application for May, we will also make that particular announcement. I will also forward it to you as soon as I see it. And we are grateful to be of your service. It is unfortunate we didn't have enough reps. We didn't have you filing today, but on our next one, when we arrange it, we will also make sure that we have someone from you filing will be able to assist you guys with your filing inquiries. So just to recap, Karen, for those emails address that I've given out, I've given the COVID-19 declarations at labor.gov.za for all the outstanding UI-19 declarations. For foreign nationals, we said that if they want to declare their employees, they must not complete a UI-19 form, they must not do anything except filing. They must use a filing system to declare their foreign nationals on filing.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing that. We will definitely appreciate also a session with someone on filing, because it seems like many issues arise on the filing system. So that will be great. I think we've sorted out most of our process issues and our calculation issues today. So thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time. We truly appreciate it. And stay safe, everyone.
Stay safe and don't forget to sanitize.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Thanks, everyone.
We appreciate your time. Okay,
Thank
bye.
you. Goodbye. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for your attention. I hope that it was time well spent. At least we got to some of the answers that we were looking for and hoping for. And what we'll do is we'll share the information that we came about in the session with everyone. We'll put that together in a document and we'll share that with everyone as far as we have answers to the questions that we've asked. We'll make that available. And the UIF has also indicated that they will be scheduling another session with us next week. And hopefully then we'll be able to have a youth filing expert also on the call, and we'll be able to also ask all the youth filing questions that we have, and all the issues that we're experiencing from a youth filing perspective will then be answered. Right, and I realize that that's one of our biggest frustrations at this stage. So hopefully we'll get these answers next week. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, you're welcome to forward them to info@taxfaculty.ac.za. I also have this email address of one of the panelists from the UIF who indicated that he is happy for us to share his email address with you. So I'll then be able to forward the questions to him. And hopefully if you've got specific questions, then you'll be able to get answers in this way. But it seems like we need to go through the call center, the hotline, for many of the problems that we have, and that there isn't a process in place to address all of the issues. But hopefully they are working on solutions to these problems. And as soon as we become aware of these solutions and that information is shared with us, we'll make that available to you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your patience. I apologize for the technical problems that we experienced earlier on. Have a blessed day, a wonderful weekend, and we'll chat again next week. Goodbye, stay safe.